It's Thursday, April the 21st. Lake level's about 9:15 3/4 and dropping. It got up to about just about 9:18 after that rain, and then it's steadily been coming down. There's still running a lot of water through the lake, so it's probably still going to keep coming down. So the water wasn't up in the bushes very long. You know, usually at about 9:15, there's not too much shoreline cover in the water. But the water temperature starts out in the morning about mid-50s, and it's finally getting up there, 57, 58 degrees. And the fish are finally starting to get on the beds. They're about 3 weeks late, but I would say with this weekend, with the warm weather, by the first week, there should be fish all over the lake on beds. You know, I've been seeing a few, but I think we're going to start seeing a lot more. A lot of the places I've been fishing kind of been in the stained water, so you know you can't see real good. And we've had real nasty days, you know, wind and rain and clouds, so it's been hard to see very, you know, as far as how many fish are up there on the beds. But catching them several different ways. The river arms, the Kings River is cleaning up pretty nice. The James River's in good shape. A lot of the mud and stuff that was in there with them moving so much water is kind of moving on down lake out of most of the main rivers. So, you know, everything's getting in real good shape. I'm finding the water in the river arms to be a little bit warmer. Looks like the next few nights not going to get much below 55, 60 degrees at night. So we should really gain some water temperature, you know, some warmth throughout the day. And that should pull more fish in there to spawn. But I've been catching them on a variety of everything. It's still not easy by any means, but we got into a good topwater bite the other day. You know, it was cloudy and overcast, but it's kind of back in a creek, and we had caught some on a crankbait and a jig, and we started seeing a lot of shad up there suspended about 10 or 12 feet down, which I hadn't seen a whole lot of. Started catching a few on a swim bait, and we started seeing a few busts, so we started throwing some topwater baits, and you know, really good topwater bait to fish, especially in the springtime. And it will be, oh goodness, for the next month or so, is a little wake bait. If I get this thing, not a little one, but a big one. I throw a couple different ones. I throw a jointed one and a straight one. This is a straight one that Spro makes. It's a Zero Minnow 130, and it works just like a redfin. This is I believe it's a Berkeley Surge Shad, and it's kind of a knockoff of the old Cotton Cordell redfin or Storm Thunderstick. And basically these baits, you just throw them out there, hold your rod tip up, and reel real slow. You don't have to give it any walking action. I do like a walking bait as well, but these are probably the simplest and easiest topwater baits to throw. Just steady retrieve and kind of look the other way when a fish comes up to bite it, because you don't want to jerk right away. It almost works better if you're not paying attention to where your lure is. And I do the same thing. Your reaction is to jerk as soon as you see it blow up, but sometimes they'll hit it a couple times before you get hooked up. But with them fish moving up in there to spawn like that, probably one of the most consistent things for me has been a little split shot rig. I throw several different little worms, but like a Zoom Fish Doctor, green pumpkin, watermelon red, you know, centipede, or the Fish Doctor and the green pumpkin red, or watermelon red seems to work real well. Just rig it on a 1/0 hook with like a number 3 round shot, 16, 18 inches up. And usually just set the boat about 12, 15 foot, depending on the water clarity. If the water's clear, I might set out, 15 to 20. It's got a little stain to it, just 10 or 12 feet. But what you want to do is go in these areas where you feel the fish are spawning, and right now I'm keying on a lot of banks that are not so much on the north side of the lake. I mean, I'll fish the south side of the lake, but I'll fish the north bank. Places that are getting the sun all day long, is protected from the wind. Those areas are warming up a little bit faster. than say stuff that doesn't get sun all day. So that's the places I'm looking, and these fish will spawn, if you got flat gravel around boat docks, that's where you want to be. But in the areas where there isn't flat gravel, these fish will also spawn on that big flat ledge rock as well. They'll clear off a spot on a rock and spawn right on some of that big shelf rock. Now moss hasn't been as bad. I'm having very little problem with the moss. You can still catch some fish on a rock crawler or wigglewort, but it seems to me when they get locked in on that spawn, the little finesse baits seem to work the best for me. Another bait you can catch them on good if you want to cover some water, especially on the steeper, ledgier banks, is a fluke. And this is a big bite, jerk minnow, but like a Strike King caffeine shad or a Zoom Super Fluke, or I've been throwing a big bite, 4-inch and 5-inch jerk minnow in shad patterns. And I usually put a swivel up there about 12 to 16 inches. And main reason I do that is so I can throw it on, like 12 or 14 pound line on a bait caster. Even if you're throwing it on a spinning rod, the swivel will help you cast it, and especially on the spinning rod, it will help keep the twist out of the line. And I'll throw this in the same place that I'm throwing the split shot, except I'll kind of parallel the bank and just try to cover a lot of water. You're going to have a lot of fish that are going to be roaming, they're going to be, coming up that aren't locked on beds, that are going to be looking for places to spawn. And that fluke's a real good bait to catch some of them. And also, if you get on a topwater bite where the fish seem to be slapping at a hard bait and not eating it, try to throw the fluke out there. And there's still going to be a swim bait bite, whether it's a 2.8, 3.3, up to a 3.8. And it should be for the next month to 6 to 8 weeks still. There's still going to be fish out there on the main lake that are suspended that haven't come in. And whenever they get done spawning, they're going to turn around and go back out on a lot of the same points. But it seems like as the water gets a little warmer, the bite gets a little bit better out there as the fish start to rest up, which I don't think they're going to be doing that as far as any resting up for a couple weeks. But usually a topwater bait, if you got the right conditions, comes more into play than the swim bait does. But, to me, we're really getting into, I'll be glad when the spawn's over, because I think the fish pretty much bite better after they've, a couple weeks after they spawn, they started to feed up. You can get bit on a Carolina rig, you can get bit on a swing jig or hard head. There's a lot of different baits you can throw right now. There's a lot of fish on the bottom, say from the bank out to about, 20 feet, 25 feet. You can catch them on a football jig. There's some suspended. But everything, for the most part, I think is headed to the bank. They're going to spawn, turn around, get her done. So, till next week, good luck, good fishing.